What is the most terrifying object you can hold in your hand? A knife? A gun? For Leo, it was a simple, polished piece of metal and plastic he held every single day. This is not just a story of a carjacking. This is a story about being hunted by an invisible predator, about a game where the rules are unknown and the price for losing is your life. If you think you're safe inside your own car, you are wrong. Stay until the end of this story, because the final twist will make you question every shadow in your rearview mirror. This is Fearfull Horror Stories, and tonight, we are diving into the nightmare of the deadly switch. Leo was a man who found comfort in routine. His 2014 sedan wasn't flashy, but it was reliable. He knew every rattle, every hum of its engine, the specific weight and click of his keys sliding into the ignition switch. That switch was the gateway to his life, to his commute, his grocery runs, his freedom. It was on a Tuesday, under a bruised purple sky threatening rain, that the routine shattered. He was on a long, deserted stretch of highway, trees forming a dark wall on either side. The rain began, a sudden torrent that his wipers struggled to clear. A deer, a phantom shape in the gloom, leapt onto the road. Leo swerved. It wasn't a violent crash. It was a sickening lurch as his car slid on the wet asphalt, spinning before coming to a jarring halt in the muddy ditch alongside the road. The airbags didn't deploy. For a moment, there was only the sound of the rain hammering on the roof and the frantic thumping of his own heart. Shaken but unhurt, his first instinct was to call for help. No signal. His second instinct was to get the car out. He turned the key to restart the engine. The engine didn't even crank. It was dead silent. That's when he noticed it. The feeling was wrong. The key turned too easily. He looked down. The ignition barrel was empty. The plastic housing around it was cracked. His key was in his hand, but the metal switch itself, the very heart of the ignition, was gone. It had been sheared off, presumably on impact, and was now missing somewhere in the dark interior of the car. A cold knot of panic tightened in his stomach. This was more than an inconvenience. It was a trap. He was stranded in the rain, in the dark, with no way to move his car. He used his phone's flashlight, its beam shaking in his unsteady hand, to search the footwells, under the seats, between the cushions. Nothing. The switch was simply gone. He was about to give up and risk walking when a new sound cut through the drumming rain. Tap, tap, tap. It was a slow, deliberate knock on the passenger side window. Leo jumped, a scream catching in his throat. Pressed against the glass was a face, pale and distorted by the rivulets of water streaming down the window. A man. He was smiling, a thin, lifeless stretch of lips that didn't reach his eyes. He gestured, a slow, rolling motion with his hand, for Leo to lower the window. Every primal alarm bell in Leo's head was ringing. He shook his head, mouthing, "No." The man's smile didn't falter. He held up his right hand. Between his thumb and forefinger, he held a small, metallic object. It caught the light from Leo's phone. It was a missing ignition switch. The man didn't look angry or frantic. He looked curious, calm. He was studying Leo the way an entomologist studies a rare insect pinned to a board. This was not a robbery. This was a game. And the man held all the pieces. He pointed at the switch, then pointed at Leo, and finally, he pointed down the road into the impenetrable darkness. The meaning was clear. Come with me. Leo fumbled for the door locks, hearing them slam down with a satisfying thud. The man outside actually chuckled, a sound muffled by the glass, but dripping with condescension. He wasn't concerned. The locks were a minor delay, not a defense. The man walked calmly to the front of the car and vanished from view. Leo's breath hitched. What was he doing? A moment later, the hood of the car creaked open. Leo could see the man's silhouette leaning over the engine bay. He was doing something. Leo heard a scrape of metal, a soft click. The interior lights of the car, which had been on since the crash, suddenly flickered and died. The phone in his hand went black. The battery drained to zero in an instant. Total darkness. Total silence, except for the rain. Leo was blind. He huddled in his seat, straining to hear. The sound of the hood closing. Footsteps squelching in the mud. Circling car. They stopped right behind his head. He could feel the man's presence there, separated only by a thin sheet of metal and glass. He could almost feel his breath. He waited for the window to smash. But the blow never came. Instead, he heard a new sound. It was the trunk of his car, popping open. A fresh, different terror seized Leo. His gym bag was in the trunk. His old baseball bat was in that bag. The man wasn't trying to get to him. He was helping himself to Leo's own possessions to use against him. That was the final straw. The paralyzing fear shattered into a surge of pure adrenaline. Survival was no longer about hiding. It was about running. As the footsteps moved back towards the rear of the car, Leo made his move. He threw the driver's door open and launched himself out into the cold, stinging rain. He didn't look back. He just ran, scrambling up the muddy embankment towards the tree line. He heard a shout of surprise from behind him, followed by the sound of pursuit. He crashed through the undergrowth, branches whipping at his face. The darkness so complete he was running on instinct alone. He could hear the man behind him, closer than he expected, his footsteps heavy and relentless. Leo ran until his lungs burned and his legs gave way. He collapsed behind a large fallen log, pressing himself into the wet earth, trying to silence his ragged breaths. He listened. Silence. Had he lost him? He dared to peer over the log. And there he was. The man was standing 20 feet away, not running, not even searching. He was just standing in a small clearing, staring directly at the log where Leo was hiding. He was holding the baseball bat, resting it casually on his shoulder. In his other hand, he was still holding the little ignition switch. He smiled that same hollow smile. Then, slowly, he lifted a hand holding the switch and pointed a single finger, not at Leo, but past him, deeper into the woods. It was a gesture of invitation. A gesture that said, the game isn't over. It's just moving to a new location. And then he started walking towards him. Leo's heart stopped. Was this it? Was this how it ended? Alone in the woods. Hunted for sport? To find out what happens next, you have to be here for part 2. This story is based on countless real-life accounts of predatory behavior on isolated roads. It plays on our deepest fear of being trapped and hunted. If this story made you check your door locks, leave a comment below with the word switch. Let's see how many people we can make afraid of their own car. Don't forget to smash the like button and subscribe to Fearfull Horror Stories and hit the bell icon so you don't miss the terrifying conclusion. Until next time, never stop looking in your rearview mirror.